In this episode, I bring you stories from two locations with links to each other. Our first story features a property on the outskirts of Edinburgh, and the second is a story relayed to me by a woman named Beverly, who experienced some seriously strange happenings in a historic Edinburgh school in the 1980s. In May 1544, the English King Henry VIII launched his campaign to force Scotland into agreeing to a marriage alliance between the 2-year-old Mary, Queen of Scots, and his young son, Prince Edward. This aggressive campaign, known as the Rough Wooing, aimed to secure Tudor dynastic stability and counterbalance France's influence in Scotland. King Henry sought to unify Scotland with England or establish English supremacy over the kingdom. Henry declared war in December 1543 as James Hamilton, who was appointed to govern in Scotland until Mary reached adulthood, made gains against rebels supporting the English marriage. Nobles such as the Earl of Lennox, the Earl of Glencairn, and the Earl of Angus communicated with Henry via messengers, requesting intervention. In March, Henry promised a significant military response. The events of May 1544 marked a notable escalation in the conflict, as Henry's forces unleashed devastation upon Edinburgh and its surrounding areas. This would later become known as the Burning of Edinburgh. Edward Seymour, later the Duke of Somerset, led the English army as the king's lieutenant. The orders from Henry were simple: devastate the city. Put all to fire and sword, burn Edinburgh, so razed and defaced, when you have sacked and gotten what ye can of it, as there may remain forever a perpetual memory of the vengeance of God lightened upon them for their falsehood and disloyalty. Under great pressure, the Provost of Edinburgh allowed the English to plunder both Leith and Edinburgh, resulting in the city being set ablaze on the 7th of May. Seymour also proposed capturing Cardinal Beaton, the Archbishop of St Andrews, a supporter of the Old Alliance with France. Despite the English assault, the Scottish artillery within Edinburgh Castle continued to harass the English forces, preventing them from besieging the castle due to their limited time and resources. The English fleet departed with plundered goods, including 2 ships belonging to James V of Scotland. This event was the first act in a turbulent period of Anglo-Scottish relations, with both sides enduring years of warfare and political manoeuvring in pursuit of their respective goals. Following Henry's command to burn Edinburgh, English troops expanded their devastation to the nearby areas, employing scorched earth tactics. About 5 miles northwest of the city, Cramond, safeguarded by Lauriston Castle, suffered the brunt of the assault, leading to the destruction of the town and the castle itself. Although records are sparse, we know Lauriston Castle was originally constructed sometime in the late medieval period. Following its sacking in 1544, it remained in ruins for nearly 50 years, until Sir Archibald Napier began construction of a tower house in 1590. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in the castle's history, as it underwent significant renovations and expansions over the centuries. The Napiers, a prominent Scottish family, held ownership of the castle for generations, contributing to its architectural evolution and shaping its role in local history. Throughout its existence, Lauriston Castle has witnessed numerous events and transitions, reflecting the broader changes in Scottish society and politics. Lauriston Castle is also believed to be haunted. One of the most well-known ghost stories linked to the castle revolves around the figure of a woman known as Janet, often referred to as the Grey Lady. According to local lore, Janet was a servant at the castle who fell deeply in love with the master of the house. When her affections were not returned, Janet was overwhelmed with despair and tragically ended her own life by jumping from the tower. Since then, her spirit is said to linger within the castle, manifesting as fleeting glimpses of a sorrowful figure drifting through the corridors, her presence accompanied by a chilling sensation that lingers long after she disappears from view. Despite the passage of centuries, Janet's restless spirit continues to haunt Lauriston Castle, a poignant reminder of love unrequited and the enduring power of the human heart's deepest emotions. She's also believed to have been caught on camera. In January 2020, Drew McAdam captured a curious image while waiting at the castle for an event. He arrived early to take several photos of the landmark before the custodian arrived to switch the alarm off and unlock the building. Upon later reviewing the pictures, McAdam was astonished by what he discovered. In one of his images, a figure dressed in what appears to be outdated clothing was clearly visible standing at a window. Sharing the photo and recounting the experience on social media, McAdam asserted, "I've not edited this photo in any way, it is exactly as it came on the camera." He further explained that there was no one else present in the building at the time. If an unauthorised individual had somehow gained access, the motion sensor alarm protecting the castle would have been triggered. In August 2023, another apparition was apparently captured on camera by a couple on one of the many guided tours of the castle and its grounds. Stuart Ross and his fiancée Bianca Harrell were in the castle's kitchen area when they took a picture of what they believed to be the apparition of what they described as a mother and child. Stuart said, "I didn't feel anything at the time the photo was taken, but looking at the picture, it looks like a young woman leaning or a woman holding a baby. It was actually my dad that noticed the ghost in the picture that Bianca took on my phone. I sort of dismissed it right away. I've never really believed in ghosts before. I was a security guard for a few years, wandering around places at night, but not once have I felt or seen anything. But looking at the photo closely, it was actually like a magic eye photo. You can't see it at first, then suddenly it's there. There was no smoke or shadow noticeable at the time, but there was in this photo. Camera strap, smoke, lens flare, ghost. What do you believe?" Could the castle's bloody history have left a lasting mark, or could the Napier's family legacy extend beyond the physical realm in the form of the ghosts at Lauriston Castle? As we explore the intriguing tales surrounding Lauriston Castle and its ghostly residents, it's interesting to think about the family connections that reach far beyond its ancient walls. This brings us to George Heriot, the founder of George Heriot School in Edinburgh. Heriot's ties to Napier go beyond mere historical significance. They serve as a tangible link bridging the past and the present. Through his marriage to Alison Primrose, Heriot becomes intricately connected to the Napier family. Alison, descending from James Primrose of Carrington and niece to Archibald Napier of Merchiston, intertwines her family's narrative with that of the renowned mathematician John Napier, Archibald's son. Thus the tales echoing within Lauriston Castle resonate not only with ancient legends, but also with the enduring familial bonds that unite the legacies of two influential families. As we consider the intertwined histories of Lauriston Castle and the Heriot family, it sets the stage for the next chapter in our story, a ghostly tale whispered through the corridors of George Heriot School itself. Situated in the heart of Edinburgh, George Heriot School has a rich history of academic excellence and tradition. Established in the 17th century, its past is deeply woven into the fabric of Scottish history, leaving a lasting impact on both the city and the field of education. Founded in 1628 by George Heriot, a prominent goldsmith and jeweller to King James VI, the school was established with the noble purpose of providing education to Edinburgh's orphaned and fatherless children. Heriot's vision, inspired by his commitment to philanthropy and his desire to leave a lasting legacy, laid the foundation for what would become one of Scotland's most prestigious educational institutions. Initially housed in a building near Greyfriars Kirkyard, George Heriot School soon outgrew its humble beginnings as a reputation for academic excellence spread far and wide. In 1650, the school moved to its current location on Lauriston Place, where it occupies an impressive building inspired by the architecture of the French Renaissance. Over the centuries, George Heriot School has evolved and expanded, adapting to the changing needs of its students and the demands of modern education. Today it remains committed to its founding principles of providing high-quality education to young people from all walks of life, regardless of their background or circumstances. One of the most intriguing aspects of George Heriot School is its connection to the world of literature and popular culture. Many people believe that J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, drew inspiration from the school's imposing facade and majestic towers when imagining Hogwarts' School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Although Rowling herself has never confirmed this speculation, the parallels between the two institutions are undeniable, from the grandeur of their architecture to the sense of history and the tradition that permeates their halls. Whether or not George Heriot School served as the real-life inspiration for Hogwarts, its links to the world of Harry Potter have captured the imaginations of countless fans around the globe. Today, visitors to Edinburgh can explore the school's historic grounds and imagine themselves stepping into the magical world of wizards and witches, where anything is possible. Along with the rumours that Heriots acted as the inspiration for the real-life Hogwarts, there are stories that the building may have more than that in common with the famous wizard. There are stories that its hallways are teeming with ghosts. This notion is not merely hearsay, it's supported by first-hand accounts, such as the one shared by Beverly, who spent time working within the hallowed halls of Heriots in the 1980s. Beverly recounts, "In the mid-80s, I had just finished my 2 years at drama school, studying stage management, and got a job with a youth musical theatre company, who were performing at the Edinburgh Fringe. It's rarely a well-paid job doing the Edinburgh Festival, and the company offered travel, accommodation, and food for the duration of the rehearsal and performance time. As I had moved back to my parents' home in Kent and had a job starting in late September, this was an excellent way to go to the festival, not be out of pocket and be fed. As the company only employed a few professional members, one being me, it was part of the agreement that we were part of the chaperone system, as all the cast were of school age. We moved into the George Heriot School for the duration of the production. I understand that the school is a boarding school, but we were all living in the classrooms. I was in charge of 8 mid-teen girls in a large classroom facing the large quadrant on the ground floor in the shadow of the castle. The story of the phantom bagpiper of the castle was told to one of the group, and the story went round like wildfire. One night after the show, everyone had gone to bed, and suddenly we could all hear the strains of a piper. But thankfully, that turned out to be a false alarm. It seems that the Edinburgh tattoo rehearsals were going on in the wee small hours, and it was the lone piper rehearsing at the castle. The room we were staying in was large with high windows. There were no curtains, so there was light almost all the time. There were pockets of cold in the room, which we tried to put down to the old building and the fact it was Scotland in the summer. Things would move around the room, go missing, to turn up in other parts of the room. I spent 7 weeks with these young women. They were already friends anyway, and had all attended the same boarding school, so they'd lived together since the age of 11. So at no time did they feel that they were either being stolen from or being played a trick on. The things that went walkabout were never anything of value. Initially I put it down to the fact that the girls knew each other and someone had borrowed each other's hairbrush or toiletry bag. Bedside books would go from the side of our beds and then be at the far end of the room. I was the deputy stage manager, which meant I called the show. During a show, the person on the book will be calling the show. Every time scenery moves, lights change, sound cues, music starting, etc. It's all one person saying go. The deputy stage manager is in every rehearsal, and everything is recorded in their script. It's the show's Bible. Everything regarding the running of the show is in the book. I kept the book with me at all times, and people who work in live theatre know how important the book is and wouldn't do anything to it. So when, overnight, the book went from my bedside table to onto the teacher's desk, and there were also 2 hairbrushes with it, I think then we knew something was odd. Then we noticed that as we walked past the bookshelf, books would fall on the floor behind us. Obviously, we could have dislodged something as we passed, but we all felt we hadn't touched anything. But one morning, all 9 of us witnessed the same incident. We'd been awake for a while, and we were all still lying in our camp beds talking. It was about 6 a.m, the sun was fully up, and the room was full of the morning sunshine. One of the girls had had a birthday a day or so before, and had been sent a bouquet of flowers through Interflora. Suddenly, on the table the flowers were standing on, the vase raised about 6 inches off the surface and banged loudly down on the table as if to get her attention. The atmosphere suddenly became very heavy. The vase then shot off the table horizontally as if snatched at high speed. The vase then stopped in mid-air for what felt like 2 or 3 seconds and then smashed on the floor. It was as if it was thrown to the ground by an American football player. The vase smashed everywhere, with water, flowers and glass going all over our beds. We all leapt out of bed and rushed into the school corridor in our PJs, and it was really unnerving. Being the adult in the situation, after a few minutes I went back into the classroom, and the atmosphere had completely changed. All the negativity had lifted, and despite the broken vase all over the floor, the room felt calm and undisturbed. It wasn't easy going back to sleep in the room after that, and no one wanted to be there on their own. So we were divided up and put into other rooms, and we finished our run in Edinburgh about 3 days later. All of us had also thought we'd seen a dark, tall shadow from the corner of our eye, and it wasn't easy trying to convince teenage girls that it was nothing to be concerned about. I only saw the shape personally twice. It was very quick, tall and shapeless. It felt male, although I saw no features. A couple of the girls expressed they felt a man was watching them, but it didn't feel sexual and at the start didn't feel menacing. That built up and was at its peak with the flowers. Then, completely gone. Beverly's account offers a glimpse into the eerie occurrences that have been reported within the walls of George Heriot School over the years. While some may dismiss such stories as mere folklore or the product of overactive imaginations, others believe that they provide evidence of a supernatural presence lingering within the ancient building. Heriot's has stood for hundreds of years, with thousands of people passing through its grand doors. Could the struggles, worries, and emotions of all these individuals have left traces of their lives behind? Could these strange happenings be attributed to the restless spirits of former inhabitants, or is there a more rational explanation waiting to be uncovered? Whatever the truth may be, the mysteries of George Heriot School continue to captivate and intrigue all those who explore its shadowy corridors and hidden passageways. As we reflect on Beverly's experiences within the storied walls of George Heriot's, we are reminded that the line between fact and fiction is often blurred in the realm of the paranormal. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying the profound impact that these stories have had on those who've experienced them firsthand. Concluding our journey through the intertwined histories of Lauriston Castle and George Heriot's, we are left with more questions than answers. Perhaps one day, the truth behind these enduring mysteries will be revealed, but until then, The ghosts of the past will continue to haunt the hallowed halls of these historic landmarks, their secrets buried deep within the fabric of time itself.